Understood. Below is the constructed narrative for Section 1, adhering to your guidelines. The section introduces the main characters, establishes the central conflict, and sets the stage for the story while maintaining a clear, focused narrative. It ends with a satisfying yet intriguing conclusion to encourage continued reading. The observation deck of the Zephyrian Ascendant was a marvel of alien engineering, a vast, translucent dome that offered an unobstructed view of the cosmos. Commander Valen stood at its center, her iridescent skin shimmering faintly under the starlight. Her 4 slender fingers traced the edge of a holographic display, which projected a live feed of the blue-green planet below, Earth. The humans called it that, though Valen found the name oddly simplistic for a species so peculiar. Another one, murmured Scholar Krell, her voice a melodic hum that resonated through the chamber. He adjusted the feed, zooming in on a cluster of humans gathered in a sprawling urban center. They were running, not fleeing, not hunting, just running, in circles, around a track. Valen tilted her head, her large, almond-shaped eyes narrowing in confusion. "Explain this behavior again," she said, her tone tinged with both curiosity and exasperation. "They expend energy unnecessarily, risking injury and exhaustion, for no discernible purpose." "Why?" Krell tapped a series of symbols on the holographic interface, pulling up a stream of data. "According to our observations, they refer to this activity as exercise. It appears to be a form of self-imposed physical exertion aimed at improving their biological efficiency. They call it fitness." Valen's brow ridges furrowed. Fitness, a term denoting suitability for a specific purpose. Yet they are not preparing for combat or labor. They are running in circles, voluntarily. "It seems so," Krell replied, his tone equally baffled. "And it is not an isolated phenomenon. This behavior is widespread across their species. They engage in a variety of such activities, lifting heavy objects, swimming long distances, even climbing artificial structures, all for the sake of this fitness." Valen crossed her arms, her silvery robes shimmering as she moved. "It defies logic. Their biology is fragile, their lifespans short. Why would they waste precious time and energy on such frivolous pursuits?" Krell hesitated, his antennae twitching as he considered the question. "Perhaps it is a form of ritual, a social bonding activity, or maybe a method of establishing dominance within their hierarchy." Valen frowned. "Rituals are meant to serve a purpose, to honor their ancestors, to appease their deities, to strengthen communal ties. This is chaos. There is no pattern, no consistency. It is as if they derive pleasure from the act itself." Krell nodded slowly. "A troubling hypothesis. If true, it suggests a level of irrationality we have not encountered in any other species." Valen turned back to the display, her gaze lingering on the humans below. They were so strange, so unpredictable, and yet there was something captivating about them, something she couldn't quite define. The Zephyrian Ascendant had been orbiting Earth for nearly a lunar cycle, its crew tasked with studying the planet's dominant species. The mission was straightforward: observe, analyze, and report. The Zephyrians were a race of scholars, their civilization built on the pursuit of knowledge and the perfection of logic. They had encountered countless species in their millennia of exploration, each with its own quirks and idiosyncrasies. But none had confounded them quite like the humans. Valen had initially dismissed them as primitive, their technology crude and their societies chaotic. But the more she observed, the more she realized there was something different about them, something that defied her understanding. Their capacity for creativity, their resilience in the face of adversity, their inexplicable drive to push beyond their limits. It was both fascinating and unsettling. "Commander," Krell said, pulling her from her thoughts, "we have a new development." Valen turned to him, her expression sharp. "Explain." Krell manipulated the holographic display, bringing up a new feed. It showed a human male, his body glistening with sweat, as he lifted a heavy metal object above his head. The crowd around him erupted in cheers, their faces alight with excitement. This individual is participating in an event they call weightlifting, Krell explained. The objective is to lift the heaviest possible weight. It is a test of strength and endurance. Valen studied the human closely, his muscles strained under the weight, his face contorted with effort. And yet, there was a fire in his eyes, a determination that seemed to transcend mere physical exertion. Why? Valen asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Why does he do this? What drives him? Krell hesitated. I do not know, Commander, but it is not an isolated case. Many humans engage in similar activities, often at great personal cost. They push their bodies to the brink of collapse, risking injury and even death. And yet, they persist. Valen's mind raced as she tried to make sense of it. The Zephyrians valued efficiency above all else. Every action, every decision was weighed against its potential benefit. Waste was anathema to them. And yet, here was a species that seemed to thrive on it, that sought out challenges for no other reason than to overcome them. It made no sense, and yet it intrigued her. The observation deck fell silent as the crew continued to watch the humans. Hours passed, the feed cycling through various activities, running, swimming, climbing, even fighting, each one more baffling than the last. Finally, Valen turned to Krell. Prepare a report for the High Council. Detail our findings and request further instructions. I want to understand these humans. I want to know what drives them, what makes them tick. Krell nodded, his antennae twitching in acknowledgement. It will be done, Commander. As Krell worked, Valen returned her gaze to the holographic display. The humans continued their strange rituals, their faces alight with passion and determination. And for the first time in her long life, Valen felt a flicker of something she couldn't quite name. Was it admiration, curiosity, or something else entirely? She didn't know, but she intended to find out. The section ends with Valen's growing fascination with humanity, setting the stage for further exploration and interaction. The central conflict, the aliens' inability to comprehend human fitness culture, is established, while the narrative hints at deeper themes of resilience, determination, and the human spirit. The ending is satisfying yet leaves room for the story to unfold in the next section. Understood. Below is the constructed narrative for Section 2, continuing the story with a clear, focused narrative that advances the plot and deepens character understanding. The section introduces new dynamics while maintaining the central conflict and ends with a satisfying yet intriguing conclusion to encourage continued reading. The Zephyrian Ascendant hummed softly as it descended through Earth's atmosphere, its sleek, silver hull glinting in the sunlight. Commander Valen stood at the helm, her gaze fixed on the sprawling city below. It was a chaotic tapestry of towering structures, winding roads, and teeming masses of humans. To her, it was both mesmerizing and overwhelming. Are you certain this is necessary, Commander? Scholar Krell asked, his voice tinged with unease. Direct contact with a pre-spaceflight species is highly irregular. The High Council may disapprove. Valen's expression remained impassive, though her antennae twitched faintly. The High Council tasked us with understanding these humans. Observation alone has yielded no answers. If we are to comprehend their behavior, we must engage with them directly. Krell hesitated, his iridescent skin flickering with uncertainty. And if they prove hostile, then we will withdraw, Valen replied, her tone firm. But I do not believe they will. There is something unique about these humans, something we cannot grasp from afar. The ship touched down in a secluded area on the outskirts of the city, its arrival masked by advanced cloaking technology. Valen and Krell stepped onto the surface, their forms shimmering as their adaptive camouflage adjusted to the environment. To any human observer, they would appear as nothing more than a faint distortion in the air. Their destination was a nearby athletic complex, a sprawling facility where humans engaged in a variety of physical activities. It was here, according to their observations, that they would find Dr. Elena Martinez, a human expert in the field of fitness. Valen had chosen her carefully, analyzing countless hours of footage to identify a subject who could provide the insights they sought. The complex was a cacophony of sound and motion. Humans of all shapes and sizes moved with purpose, their faces etched with determination. Some ran on treadmills, their breath coming in ragged gasps. Others lifted weights, their muscles straining under the load. Still more practiced intricate movements in a mirrored room, their bodies flowing in unison. Valen and Krell moved through the chaos with practiced ease, their presence unnoticed. They found Dr. Martinez in a corner of the facility, her attention focused on a group of athletes. She was a striking figure, her dark hair pulled into a tight braid, her athletic build a testament to her dedication. Valen deactivated her camouflage, revealing herself to the human. Dr. Martinez froze, her eyes widening in shock. For a moment, neither spoke, the air thick with tension. "Dr. Elena Martinez," Valen said, her voice calm and measured. "We mean you no harm. We are here to learn." Dr. Martinez took a step back, her gaze darting between Valen and Krell. What are you?" "We are explorers," Valen replied. "We have been observing your species for some time. Your behavior intrigues us. We wish to understand it." Dr. Martinez hesitated, her mind racing. She had always believed in the possibility of extraterrestrial life, but to encounter it so suddenly was beyond anything she had imagined. And yet, there was something in Valen's demeanor, a quiet sincerity, that put her at ease. "What do you want to know?" she asked, her voice steady despite the circumstances. Valen tilted her head, her almond-shaped eyes studying the human intently. "Your concept of fitness. We have observed your species engaging in physical activities that serve no immediate purpose." "Why?" Dr. Martinez blinked, caught off guard by the question. "You mean exercise? It's about health, strength, endurance. It's about pushing our limits, becoming the best versions of ourselves." Valen's brow ridges furrowed. "But your biology is fragile. Your lifespans are short. Why expend energy on such pursuits when it could be conserved for more practical purposes?" Dr. Martinez smiled faintly. "It's not just about survival. It's about thriving, about feeling alive. When we push ourselves, we discover what we're capable of. It's empowering." Valen exchanged a glance with Krell, who was recording the conversation with meticulous precision. "Empowering," she repeated, the word unfamiliar on her tongue. "Explain." Dr. Martinez gestured to the athletes around them. "Look at them. They're not just training their bodies, they're training their minds. Every rep, every lap, every drop of sweat is a step towards something greater. It's about discipline, perseverance, and the satisfaction of achieving something difficult." Valen considered this, her mind racing to reconcile the human's words with her own understanding. "And this satisfaction, it is worth the risk of injury, of exhaustion." "Absolutely," Dr. Martinez said without hesitation. "The rewards far outweigh the risks. It's not just physical, it's mental, emotional. It's about proving to yourself that you can do it, that you're stronger than you think." Valen fell silent, her gaze drifting to the humans around her. She watched as a young woman lifted a barbell, her face contorted with effort. She watched as a man sprinted on a treadmill, his breath coming in ragged gasps. She watched as a group of dancers moved in perfect harmony, their bodies flowing like water. And for the first time, she began to understand. Not fully, not yet, but she saw the fire in their eyes, the determination in their movements. She saw the joy in their achievements, the camaraderie in their struggles. It was not logical. It was not efficient, but it was beautiful. "Thank you, Dr. Martinez," Valen said at last. "You have given us much to consider." Dr. Martinez nodded, her expression softening. "If you want to truly understand us, you need to experience it for yourself. Words can only take you so far." Valen's antennae twitched, a sign of curiosity. "Experience it?" "Yes," Dr. Martinez said with a smile. "Join us. Train with us. See what it's like to push your limits, to feel the burn, to taste the victory." Only then will you understand. Valen hesitated, her mind racing. The idea was unorthodox, even reckless. But Dr. Martinez's words resonated with her. If she was to truly understand these humans, she would need to step out of her comfort zone, to embrace their chaos. Very well, she said at last. We will join you. Dr. Martinez's smile widened. Then let's get started. The section ends with Valen and Krell stepping into the human world, ready to experience fitness culture firsthand. The central conflict, the aliens' struggle to comprehend human behavior, deepens as they move from observation to participation. The narrative hints at the transformative journey ahead, leaving the reader eager to see how the aliens will adapt to this new challenge. Understood. Below is the constructed narrative for Section 3, bringing the story to a satisfying yet open-ended conclusion. The section deepens the central conflict, resolves key character arcs, and leaves room for further exploration while maintaining a clear, focused narrative. The gym was alive with energy, the rhythmic clang of weights and the steady hum of treadmills creating a symphony of human endeavor. Commander Valen stood at the edge of the room, her iridescent skin shimmering faintly under the fluorescent lights. She felt out of place, her tall, slender frame and almond-shaped eyes drawing curious glances from the humans around her. But she ignored them, her focus entirely on the task at hand. Dr. Elena Martinez stood beside her, a reassuring presence. Ready to give it a try? She asked, her tone encouraging. Valen nodded, though her antennae twitched with apprehension. She had spent hours observing the humans, analyzing their movements, their routines, their motivations. But now it was time to experience it for herself, to step into their world and see it through their eyes. Dr. Martinez led her to a treadmill, its belt moving at a steady pace. Start slow, she advised. Find your rhythm. And remember, it's not about speed, it's about endurance. Valen stepped onto the machine, her movements cautious and deliberate. The sensation was strange, the belt shifting beneath her feet as she began to walk. She increased the speed gradually, her body adapting to the motion. At first, it felt unnatural, almost wasteful. But as she continued, something shifted. Her breath quickened, her heart rate rising in response to the exertion. She felt a warmth spreading through her limbs, a tingling sensation that was both unfamiliar and exhilarating. Her mind, usually so focused on logic and efficiency, began to quiet. For the first time, she was fully present. Her awareness narrowed to the rhythm of her steps, the sound of her breathing, the beat of her heart. How does it feel? Dr. Martinez asked, her voice cutting through Valen's thoughts. Valen hesitated, searching for the right words. It is strange, but not unpleasant. There is a clarity to it, a focus. Dr. Martinez smiled. That's the endorphins kicking in. It's your body's way of rewarding you for the effort. Valen tilted her head, her brow ridges furrowing. Rewarding me? For expending energy? Exactly, Dr. Martinez said. It's your brain's way of saying, good job. Keep going. It's what keeps us coming back, even when it's hard. Valen considered this, her mind racing to reconcile the concept with her own understanding. The Zephyrians valued efficiency above all else. Every action, every decision was weighed against its potential benefit. Waste was anathema to them. And yet, here she was, running on a machine that served no immediate purpose. And she was enjoying it. She increased the speed, her body moving faster, her breath coming in short, sharp gasps. The sensation intensified, the warmth spreading through her chest, her limbs, her mind. She felt alive in a way she never had before. It was as if she had tapped into a part of herself she didn't know existed. Nearby, Scholar Krell watched with a mixture of curiosity and concern. He had opted to observe rather than participate, his analytical mind struggling to make sense of what he was seeing. Valen, his commander, his mentor, was running on a human machine, her face alight with something he could only describe as joy. It was unsettling. You should try it, a voice said, pulling him from his thoughts. He turned to see a human male standing beside him, his muscular frame glistening with sweat. I am not suited for such activities, Krell replied, his tone cautious. The human grinned. Neither was I at first, but you'd be surprised what you're capable of. Krell hesitated, his antennae twitching as he considered the offer. He had spent his life in pursuit of knowledge, his every action guided by logic and reason. The idea of engaging in such a frivolous activity was antithetical to everything he believed. And yet, there was a part of him that was curious, a part that wanted to understand. Very well, he said at last. I will try. The human led him to a weightlifting station, explaining the basics of form and technique. Krell listened intently, his mind cataloging every detail. When it was his turn, he approached the barbell with caution, his slender fingers gripping the cool metal. He lifted it slowly, his muscles straining under the weight. It was harder than he had anticipated. The effort required far greater than he had expected. But as he continued, he began to feel a sense of accomplishment, a sense of pride. It was a strange, unfamiliar emotion, but not an unwelcome one. By the time they left the gym, both Valen and Krell were exhausted but exhilarated. They had pushed their bodies in ways they never had before, testing their limits and discovering new strengths. But more than that, they had gained a deeper understanding of the humans. It is not just about physical exertion, Valen said as they walked back to the ship. It is about the journey, the struggle, the triumph. Krell nodded, his antennae twitching in agreement. And the camaraderie. The humans derive strength from each other, from their shared experiences. Valen smiled faintly, a rare expression for her. They are a remarkable species, resilient, determined, and endlessly curious. There is much we can learn from them. Krell hesitated, his tone cautious. And what of the High Council? Will they understand? Valen's smile faded, replaced by a look of determination. They will, because we will show them. We will share what we have learned, and we will help them see the value in these humans, in their fitness. Krell nodded, his resolve firming. Then let us begin. The section ends with Valen and Krell returning to their ship, their perspectives forever changed by their experiences. The central conflict, the aliens' struggle to comprehend human fitness culture, is resolved as they come to understand its deeper meaning. The narrative hints at the broader implications of their journey, leaving the reader eager to see how their newfound understanding will shape the future of both species.